Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Nick Cage Fight Podcast, where we are in the middle of our chaotic recording of our review of the movie Mom and Dad, which is just a wholesome family film that you should watch with your parents. Highly recommend.
And grandparents.
And grandparents. Definitely invite the grandparents.
Just in case.
For your own safety.
Yes.
I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by Rich and Ryan. How are we feeling about wrapping this movie up? It's all action from here on out.
This episode has everything. It has a Nick Cage movie. It has submarine talk. It has Ryan's cat getting stuck in a blanket. It's got everything, baby.
It's also got me doing a correction from last episode. Rich, you were right. Donkey Konga is a different controller than Taiko no Tetsujin.
I didn't even know that much about it to challenge you on that. I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, I corrected you, but I was wrong in my correction, and I was correcting that correction.
Fair enough.
So you can't use those controllers for both
You
games?
can. They are cross-compatible and made by the same people, but the Donkey Konga controller is shaped a little differently. It is just straight up shaped like congos instead of those big taiko drums.
Well, there you go. I learned something about drumming games.
Yeah.
Where we left off last time, Riley had just discovered her mother upstairs with raccoon eyes from crying. It's a running theme with a lot of the moms that are killing kids in this, just as a heads up. But we do first cut downstairs to the news story that Carly is watching, and oh shit, it's fucking Dr. Oz comparing what is going on with a bunch of parents murdering their kids to pigs whose mothers kill their offspring on occasion. But I do love that even in this fictional setting, his comparison is shitty because he's like, yeah, sometimes pig moms roll over on baby pigs and kill them. Like, that is different.
Yeah.
that's so
not like
different.
That is different than stabbing your son through the eyeball with keys.
Like, a better analogy would be that hamsters sometimes eat the runt of the litter.
Also, bears don't sometimes bears, when like food is scarce, they'll eat the kids because they can always make more
Sharks
kids.
will.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know sharks will. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know about bears. I know for
Hold
a fact
on.
sharks will.
Let's ask our good friend Mr. Google what animals eat their young.
I'm not gonna lie, the bear thing, I'm fairly certain got stuck in my brain from an episode of The Walking Dead where cannibal characters bring that up as the justification. I never bothered to look further into it.
Oh, gotta love a cannibal character.
Yeah, right?
Mother bears, felines, canids, primates, and many species of rodents from rats to prairie dogs.
All right, then.
There you
There
go.
Remember that next time you're looking at some cute prairie dogs at a zoo. They're probably fresh from eating a baby. One of their babies, of course. So you can get some emotional distance there, but still.
Well, eating somebody else's baby is just in poor taste.
Yeah.
It's a party foul.
Yeah.
It's a California cheeseburger.
Now we're getting into, sorry. Now I couldn't help but think about the dingoes ate that woman's baby thing from Australia. Are dingoes on the list, but for other species babies?
I mean, most animals would probably eat a human baby. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, human babies are dumb and don't know how to do anything. They're the worst of the babies.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they
pretty
can't
bad.
even walk for a minute.
And like they're dumb for a long time. Like a puppy
Some
dog.
of them never grow out of it.
Yeah, like a puppy dog is like good to go after like 4 weeks. A kitten's good to go after like 2.
Some of them. I don't want to denigrate my own dogs, but I have one dog that is super dumb. We're fairly certain he's autistic, but Ryan's face at that one. Sorry, we've been kicking around the idea of getting a custom doggy t-shirt made for him that says "Please be patient, I'm autistic." But no,
he has a dog IQ of 60.
He's a rescue and he's really reactionary, but he's super sweet. We love him very much, but he is dumb as a sack of bricks. No self-preservation instinct either. Like I'm waiting for him to take a solid tumble down the stairs, but anyway. So Dr. Oz makes a dumb comparison. And Carly finally gets pulled out of her fixation on the news by sounds upstairs. And she gets upstairs just in time to see Riley's mom finish strangling Riley to death. We cut directly from there to Kendall, who has arrived at the hospital where her sister. This is another. I want to call out specifically in this movie where they do so much backstory and scenes for characters that we don't need, but I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is one of those scenes because Kendall's sister arrives at the hospital in labor with her boyfriend, who's not the dad, but it's a long story. We never get this story.
Yeah.
The boyfriend's name is Dan. Dan the man. Dan is there and doing his best. That's the story of Dan. So
by rules of this movie, Dan would not want to murder that baby.
Correct.
No, not at all. Correct.
And we don't see that happen. So like that
also correct.
Internal logic maintained.
Yeah, absolutely. So so Dan is doing his best to film during the labor, which that's insane to me. Is that a thing?
Apparently. I would never
filming the labor. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of weirdos out there.
That's crazy.
Just someone's cranking it right now to their wife giving birth.
No, I don't think anybody's doing that.
Now somebody out there is.
Like, it's not as weird as the people that eat the placenta.
Fair, but back to the cranking it. I've never met that level of a wife guy, and I don't want to.
I think it's just that level of pervert, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's wife guy.
That's not your wife. That's just people giving birth videos. I would believe immediately that there are perverts who would do that. But doing that to your own wife, giving birth to your own progeny, I draw a line there.
So, listeners, if you have ever worked one out to your wife giving birth, let us know.
Oh, yeah, no. Drop the podcast email. I want to hear from these fucking freaks.
Fuck, what is our email? Hang on.
Yeah, no, I have it up somewhere too. Hold on.
I think it's nickcagefightpod@gmail.com.
nickcagefightpodcast@gmail.com.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah, let us know, you freaks.
Yeah, I want to hear if you've done that. I have so many questions.
I don't. Please don't talk to me.
No. I'll respond. I will respond.
I will too. One of us will respond.
No attachments.
It's
if
not
you
going to
send
be
an email
me.
with attachments, we're deleting it outright.
Yeah.
But if you want to start a discourse, we will go along. We might even have you on the pod to answer questions in front of the fan base, dude.
It's a Patreon episode.
We're gonna paywall
today
that
is
shit.
a giant pervert.
Yeah. The gang interviews the wildest wife guy pervert.
Oh my fucking god!
Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Dan the man is doing his best to film the birth. Kendall's sister is not having a good time. She's yelling. Maybe the epidural is not working appropriately, but it gets a little rough. But the baby is born. Everything's great. In fact, it bears mentioning, Kendall is saying, look, as soon as that kid is born, as soon as you get to hold them, it's going to be a whole different thing. I know you're going through it right now, but, you're really not prepared for the emotional impact of holding your own kid, which tracks. But the baby is born, and they give the baby to Kendall's sister to hold. And at this point, I even put in my notes, I was like, I foresee this turning incredibly gruesome. This is the setup for something horrific. On cue, the screen to, I think, one of the instruments, not a fucking television, goes static, which is the scene that cements that the static has something to do with what's going on, and B, basically invalidates the whole conversation we had about what TVs can tune into static anymore.
Yeah,
because this
fair.
is like a medical instrument.
Yeah, it's aliens. It's got to be aliens.
It's got to be aliens. It's got to be aliens or Russians.
Yeah, I was gonna say is Russia or China. As far as this movie is concerned, I would say China, just because we had a Chinese character actually in it, and I feel like they would have put that together. But nothing further than that, because we don't get any further confirmation on that specifically. But the static does have something to do with what's going on. So, of course, as soon as the static goes off, Kendall's sister starts squeezing the baby too much, and they have to like they wrestle the baby away. Kendall gets the baby. Her sister keeps going after the baby, grabs the scalpel. There's an absolutely insane scene where Kendall is trying to get the baby away from her sister, but the umbilical cord is still attached. So one of the doctors goes and cuts it, and then Kendall falls backwards into the door, implying that the umbilical cord was stretched taut with Kendall's full weight pulling on it. And
Ooh.
It wasn't until it was cut that that tension was released. And I don't think that's how that shit works, personally. I also know nothing about this.
I was about to say, are you a doctor?
No, I'm
Then
fucking
I am
not.
believing the movie Mom and Dad.
All right, look, I might not be a doctor, but I'm also not a helicopter pilot. But if I see one stuck in a fucking tree, I know somebody fucked up. Okay. So I think there's a minimum level of understanding where you can make some assumptions, right?
All right.
So her sister again keeps ends up having to be restrained by basically everybody in this operating room. And then we cut back to Carly, and Carly is running away from Riley's house, and she sees a man covered in blood with a bloody baseball bat, and starts freaking out and trying to run away from him, and then turns and runs directly into Damon, her boyfriend. Bloody Bat Guy ignores them and just gets his mail. Like, Damon even makes a comment, and he's like, he's not after us, right? So Damon finishes his PSATs real quick and seems to be catching on to the rules of this particular cinematic world.
Smart guy.
Exactly. This doesn't lead to anything, but he's a smart guy. The movie does care about these characters and makes you care about these characters to a certain extent. Just because somebody has a thing or a quirk doesn't mean it's going to impact the events that are surrounding them. That's movie shit. This is story shit. This is insane story shit, but it's still story shit. So I respect it.
You have to.
At this point, we get our first check back in on what Brent is doing. The man himself, Nicolas Cage, he is at his white collar job in his office. Is he working hard? No, he's passed out at his desk and porn is playing on his work computer.
Like, no, he is hardly working.
Exactly.
He's the man who Pornhub added autoplay for.
Yeah, this is wild. He's woken by his cell phone going off. It's Kendall calling him. He ignores it and then picks up the phone to inform his secretary he's not taking any calls. And the secretary is like, what about your wife? And he's like, especially not her calls.
Dudes rock.
Jesus.
Dudes rock moment.
This is the opposite of the wife guy we're hoping writes into the pod. And then this was a scene that let me know that the remainder of the Nicolas Cage scenes in this film are going to be straight fire. He picks up a picture frame on his desk and it's like his kids, and he just starts screaming, and then the scene cuts. Back to the hospital. Kendall has the baby. The hospital staff are like, we need the baby. And Kendall's like, yeah, but what's going on? They're like, we don't know, but we need to keep the baby safe. And Kendall's like, all right, that seems fair. The shit's popping off. This is crazy. So she reluctantly hands over the baby. But then we get a scene of the nursery. Like, the camera is panning over the first row of babies in the nursery, and the viewing window is just packed shoulder to shoulder with dead-eyed dads eyeballing some babies. It is disconcerting.
It is probably the most disturbing single shot of the movie.
I will agree with you, but I will also say this is where the movie kind of turned for me from horror to, as the cover art says, Home Alone on bath salts.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I do got to call them out. I'm sure they're not credited. Well, I'm sure their characters aren't named, But all of those non-speaking part actors, where the casting director was like, how weirdly can you look at a bunch of babies? And when these guys are just like, oh, I could fucking look super weird at a bunch of babies. And they're
They
like, you're
do
in.
look
You got
so
it.
fucking weird at
That
some
is
babies.
exactly what we're looking for. We weren't sure how to put that in the casting call.
You know, one of the guys was like, what kind of weird? Like killing weird or horny weird? Killing weird. Killing weird, please.
Yeah, no, this isn't a Serbian film.
Yeah, no. The guy who asked that one, they were like, next. I'm impressed with the dedication, but you are not who we're looking for, sir. So
Eli Roth
Kendall...
is filming down the street. Go over there.
Yeah. He's your kind of pervert.
So Kendall calls home and gets the nanny on the phone. The nanny's mopping and tells Kendall Josh is fine. She's just about to make him lunch. Damon and Carly are outside Carly's house, and they're planning on going in and getting Josh out safely. They walk in together and they see the nanny mopping. They have a brief conversation, and the nanny pulls up the mop and it is covered in blood. Carly insists that she leaves pretty frantically and then goes to get Josh. Josh is hiding under his bed, and Carly's like, yo, we gotta leave before mom and dad get home. So said the name of the movie. This is the first time. It happens a couple more times, but this is the first one. The nanny leaves the house just as another car is pulling up, and it's Brent. Brent's home, and as soon as he comes in, he sees Damon in his house and pitches a fucking fit. You're not supposed to be here. What are you guys doing? Why aren't you in school? Get the fuck out of my house. That sort of thing. While Carly is having some difficulty convincing Josh to leave. And then we cut back to...
He's wearing a fucking domino mask too, which is funny as hell.
Yeah, he's wearing like a superhero mask because he's scared, and that helps. But
as somebody who plays a necromancer in Diablo 4, I get that. I need my skeleton friends to make me feel safe.
Yeah.
So we cut back to one of the more unhinged as far as dialogue is concerned scenes with Nick Cage in this, because he's going off at Damon and he seems to just be naming like shit, and it seems like all of his fears about his daughter, his teenage daughter having a boyfriend, are born entirely from his addiction to pornography.
Yes, 100%. And it's funny because like he shouldn't have this kind of murderous rage immediately towards this dude because he's not blood related to him, but it's clear it's all just projecting.
Yeah, it's the porno and maybe a little bit of racism. But yeah, the stuff he's listing is like, you don't think I was young once? It wasn't even that long ago, which is another thing that starts to play into his character. He's just like, I'm not that fucking old. I drove around with titties in my face. It feels like yesterday. So Josh runs downstairs and calls out to his dad, and this is just like predator animals seeing prey. Like Brent snaps, looks directly at him, and the chase is fucking on. He rushes at him.
Damon, I mean, it was really weird that when he yelled at his dad, he started yelling about goods and services.
Oh, that's right. I did.
That brings up a good point.
He's like, listen to these fucking ads.
Yeah, and he was like, no, I don't want to listen to these fucking ads, and that's what caused this whole movie to happen. Please don't kill us. We're back. We're calm. Nobody's killing anybody.
No, I just saw my child and was thrown into a murderous rage. Yeah, by the way, thank you. I got caught up with the...
It was right there. Like I had to.
We should have done this episode last week and had it as our Father's Day episode.
Oh, yeah, and that would have been
little late.
It's a little late for that, but happy belated Father's Day, I guess.
Yeah, happy belated Father's Day to the dads out there. Watch this movie with your dad, and then listen to this podcast with your dad.
But at two separate times, so we get two different metrics for listeners.
Yeah.
So Damon tackles Brent, but Brent fucks him up good in what might be Rich's favorite scene in this movie. He knocks Damon down. Damon is face down on the floor, and Cage, I will say, this is a beautiful bit of physicality from him. He raises his open palm in the air, looks back at his palm, and brings it down like the right hand of God onto the back of Damon's head.
Oh no, you're missing the
him to the floor.
breathe in too. He went.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the theatricality was
Yes.
off the charts on this hit.
If
I think
nothing
they
else,
even used
watch
it in the
this
trailer.
scene.
What was
Well,
that?
watch this scene and the pool table scene.
Yeah, if nothing else, watch this scene and the pool table scene.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Also, I recommend watching the whole movie. This
Yeah,
is
just
a
watch
fun
the
watch.
fucking movie. If I'm telling you it's good, like, it's good.
So after delivering this devastating blow to Damon, Carly and Josh are trying to dodge him around the house. They round a corner, and I think it's funny. It's a callback to an earlier portion of the movie where there's a toy like Tonka truck that Brent almost trips on his way out the house to go to work in the beginning, and then he trips on it this time. I think this is where this happens. And it gives the kids enough time to get into the basement and lock the door. So
Yeah, that sounds right.
Carly and Josh look into the basement. Odd that they haven't been in the basement since this incident occurs, but they notice there's a bunch of smashed up shit and a
It doesn't seem that odd. It's like an unfinished basement. It doesn't seem like the kind of place that the kids would actually hang out.
You guys didn't get regularly sent into the basements of your house to do like chores and shit?
I mean, like my basement was cool, so I would hang out down there, but it wasn't like an unfinished, nothing down there basement.
Yeah, even when my basement was unfinished growing up, there was like shit to do down there. You know what I mean? Like you had to go get this, or maybe the washer dryer was set up down there, or something like that.
Yeah.
Nah, I had a finished basement. It was dope. That's where my
Alright.
Sega Genesis was and my drum set.
That's where
Fuck you,
Sega
stop
Genesises live.
So then we get a cut to 3 weeks earlier. Again, the kid's not going to the basement for 3 weeks. We know Josh is an explorer. We'll get to that in a minute. But you tell me Josh hasn't been in this basement for 3 fucking weeks?
That is a fair question.
So 3 weeks earlier, Brent. Also, I found this odd. I did not know this was something that you could do. Brent directs some gentleman moving some items into his basement, and then he gets to work, and it becomes immediately apparent that he is building a pool table. Not assembling like an IKEA style pool table, like he's fucking steaming the felt down onto the glue. That's like a very specific process. You know, putting it all together. He's got his level out. He's being very careful with the whole thing. He's trying to get rid of any sort of drift on the balls. And then he gets surprised by Kendall right after he gets it perfectly level. He's got all those shims jammed under the legs just right. And Kendall gives him some gentle, reasonable pushback on spending money on a pool table when Christmas is right around the corner, and he doesn't even like pool. Now, this might be a thing where Kendall thinks he doesn't like pool, but you know, maybe Brent was a real pool hall shark back in the day and she's just not aware of this. But Brent doesn't really push back on the idea that he doesn't like pool. He just pushes back on the idea that he wasn't allowed to spend this money. And he has a full-blown midlife crisis temper tantrum. He takes a sledgehammer and he smashes to teeny tiny bits this pool table that he's just assembled.
It's pretty dope.
It is pretty fucking good. Is he singing Hokey Pokey while he does it, or is that after he does it?
While he's doing it.
While he's doing it, he's singing the Hokey Pokey.
And then he sort of collapses against, one of the support poles in the basement and verbalizes his midlife crisis. He's like, what? Oh, sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I was going to say he's wearing a pretty dope Misfits shirt while he's doing this.
Mm-hmm. He is.
As long as it's not the Michael Martinez iteration.
It looked like it was Danzig era.
Yeah, this is not a Misfits podcast. We do not have the time to get sidetracked into that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, but we do not have the time.
Yeah, we could have a whole conversation, but
about how Glenn Danzig just wants to be goth Elvis.
tell me you guys have seen the comic book where it's
Oh,
Yes,
Glenn
like,
and Henry
yes.
forever and ever.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the reason
Yep.
we stocked that at Jester's.
You're the reason I have that.
Yeah, because it rules.
I have
Oh,
every copy of it.
It's
I'm
so
sorry I don't have any issues of it. But did you guys see the interview where somebody asked Henry Rollins about it and asked what Danzig thought of it?
good.
And he
Yes,
was
yes, I
like,
did.
I don't think he's ever seen it, and don't show him that. I don't think he has the sense of humor for this.
Yes.
Yes, I did see that.
But so Brent verbalizes a bit about his midlife crisis, and Kendall is actually sympathetic towards the notion, but she is focused on, how much your life changes when you have kids. And the way she talks about it indicates that she views it as a positive. This has been reinforced several times throughout the film, and it's really important for the upcoming scene where on the drive to school, she's talking to Carly about how Josh and Carly are her life, and she's really upset that they're not as close as they used to be. She comforts Brent about his existential breakdown, midlife crisis, but again reinforces how having kids changes things, and that's a good thing. So I thought this was a very instructive scene as far as Kendall's general state of mind. And like I said, it comes into play. Of course, serendipitously, we cut to Kendall driving to the house. I had a holy shit moment here because as Kendall is driving to the house, some lady is pushing a stroller on the side of the road and just whips the stroller in front of the car that Kendall's driving.
I somehow missed that. That's
I
fucking
was like,
grim.
holy shit. Kendall swerves and misses it, but it was just so quick. Yeah, it took me aback. But Kendall was also listening to a radio program that was like, listen, do not go to your fucking kids. I know that's your first instinct. Don't go near your kids. It's not going to play out the way you think it is. And of course, Kendall ignores that. Also, the radio broadcast that she's listening to indicates that the belief at the time is that this is some type of coordinated attack. This isn't random or happenstance. This is intentional, right?
Yeah.
So Kendall gets home, goes inside the house, and Brent is unconscious still from his fall. Kendall wakes him up, and Brent tells her that the kids are in the basement. So Kendall goes to the door of the basement, starts talking to the kids through the door. Carly immediately cops to stealing the money from her purse, which is an odd instinct when parents are just offing kids left and right. I don't think that was the right response at that moment, but
yeah, don't incriminate yourself when murderous rage is afoot.
Yeah, don't give them a reason, But Kendall says, I'm not mad. It's fine. I'm just happy you're safe, but unbolt the door. And Carly's like, I don't think that that's great. And then we get another great unhinged cage scene where he's slamming on the door. He's like, open up, you motherfuckers. And then breaks down sobbing against the door when they don't open it. It is peak unhinged. This is top notch.
It is very good.
There's a lot of good cage in this.
There is. Kendall now, predictably, but unfortunately, is fully in the thrall of this murderous rage. She goes and gets a sawzall from the garage and goes to start sawing through the door. Now, this is great specifically because Brent is like, I don't think that's going to work. And Kendall's like, it's a sawzall. It saws through all.
I am going to be saying that to a buddy of mine for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's going to be fucking stuck in my head.
Yeah.
But I do like the introduction of this brainworm because Kendall, after she says that very confidently, proceeds to start trying to saw through the door in the most dangerous way you could possibly use a sawzall.
Yeah, she's just swinging that shit around.
The blade is wobbling and skipping over this surface to the point where I'm like, she's gonna fucking lose fingers. I would stop somebody and be like, all right, we're putting the sawzall away. We're coming up with a different plan. It was bonkers. That might have been the scariest moment in the movie to me, was this dangerous and irresponsible use of a power tool, just because I've witnessed it personally in my
I've
past.
seen somebody lose a thumb to one of those bad boys.
I fucking
Ooh.
believe it.
Ooh,
It
it was
saws through all,
nasty.
man.
It saws all.
So finally, she gets the blade to bite and starts sawing through the door. Brent, in the middle of this, when the sawzall's fucking skipping around the door, he's like, I have an idea. And he walks off. And where he went is to go get his gun, which is in a locked case underneath his bed. But he opens the case, and the nice foam padding for your handgun, there's nothing there. And then he immediately hears a gunshot. And we cut to the basement, and Josh has the gun, and Carly has her hands on his shoulder, and he has fired the gun through the door, and he's hit Kendall in the arm.
That's actually a pretty good payoff to the fact that Josh was reticent to leave the house without his backpack, which is where he had the gun.
Oh, that is true. I didn't even catch that. Good call out. So Kendall at this point calls out Brent, and she's like, you really went all in on the midlife crisis. You bought a fucking gun? And then she goes on to, and this is hilarious, talk about how dangerous for kids having a gun in the house is as they're actively trying to murder their children. Top notch.
And then he says it had a password on it. What was the password? Joshua's birthday.
And then it immediately cuts to Josh opening the fucking case, which is hilarious. In his underwear, he's like wearing nothing but tidy whities, which is like such a 9-year-old kid, like little boy thing to do.
Posing in front of the mirror with it and shit.
I swore he was gonna say, "You looking at me, punk?"
Yeah. No, the first of all, 10 out of 10, no notes. The dialogue, the sequence, the birthday being the combination, and then the flashback to Josh finding the gun, easily opening the case, and posing with it in front of a mirror is cinema. That is what that is.
That's Kino, baby.
Yeah. It's showbiz, baby. Add Mom and Dad to the Criterion collection based on that sequence alone. Right now, I'm gonna have to write a letter. After this, Brent and Kendall go to work on bandaging up Kendall's bullet wound in her arm. It's not a through and through shot. She has a slug in her bicep somewhere, but they just wrap it up while the kids wait in the basement.
Well, he does say we have to remove the bullet. She's like, no, fuck that. Just pour some alcohol on it and wrap it.
Yeah. But more that was her being like, I don't trust you to try and fucking dig this slug out of my arm. Fucking alcohol and wrap it. So then they get back to work trying to kill the kids, and Kendall has an idea, and it's not a terrible idea.
It's a doozy, though.
It is a doozy. It is convoluted. As far as attempts to kill kids go in this movie, this is the most convoluted one we see. So they pull out the stove, they disconnect the gas line, and hook up a garden hose to it, and tape it so that it is airtight. And then Kendall takes the hose outside around the side of the house and slips it through a basement window before taping up the edges and then burying the whole window with dirt. There is a great scene where, as she's carrying the hose, she pauses at the trash cans, opens up the lid, drops it, and then finishes her work with the hose.
Well, she's still a mom.
Well, no, but here's the thing, right? We get the payoff in a second with the dialogue, because after she finishes setting up the hose and she goes back inside, Brent cranks the gas. Poor Damon is still, he's either unconscious or dead on the floor still, and everybody's ignoring him. So Kendall goes back inside, and she's like, I found Lisa being the housekeeper's daughter. That's what was in the fucking trash can.
Yeah.
And Brent's like, oh, that explains a blood in the kitchen. And she's like, yeah, okay. And Kendall and Brent are getting along way better than we have seen them at any point in this film, now that they're united in common cause of trying to kill their children. They even hold hands and shit as they sit waiting for the gas to do its work. I think at this point, right? Kendall is taping up all of the damage that's been done to the basement door, and Carly's like investigating it from the other side. and she even like pokes her finger through the bullet hole and presses on the duct tape, and then pulls her finger out just in time because Kendall fucking stabs a butcher knife through the door.
That was the
after
one
seeing
jump
it.
scare.
Oh, okay. That was a
Okay.
jump scare for you.
That was the jump scare for me.
That was a foregone conclusion for me. I saw that.
I saw
coming.
it coming, but it still made me jump.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like I can watch a horror movie and just be like, all right, here comes something in 3, 2, 1. Oh fuck. Like
this makes me want to watch some of my favorite horror movies with you, Rich. I'm gonna have to pick out a list, and we're gonna have to do a movie night.
Oh god. Oh no.
And it's just gonna be torturous. And then you can pick a movie night where you pick a bunch of movies that you think will torture me.
I don't know if I have any. It'll just be us watching Next 4 times in a row.
I would accept that, but also I'm not a big fan of rom-coms. You mentioned enjoying rom-coms, or at least one.
I love a good rom-com, especially if you throw like some sports in it. Like give me some Bull Durham. All right, there we go. Rom-coms. There we go.
Bull Durham's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, we could figure
You'll probably
something out.
like Bull Durham, actually.
I'm just saying we could figure out something comparable.
Yeah.
So the kids start suffering the effects of this gas leak, and one of the effects is they start hallucinating advertisements for goods and services like these. Here's an example of what they're going through in this scene.
Ooh, spooky.
Horrifying. Truly. No, actually, they're just coughing and shit. And
so they're not being haunted by the ghosts of the Pep Boys.
All three of them.
Yep. This guy's got weird heads.
I found my suspension of disbelief broken a little bit by this sequence in the film, because they're coughing and stuff, but they don't appear to have sussed out what their parents are doing. At the very least, they most definitely haven't noticed the fucking garden hose coming through one of the windows of the basement. Is it the only window? Maybe, but still, you think you'd check that? They haven't figured out the hose and window situation. But right after I literally wrote, they seem oblivious to their parents' plan with the gas, Carly goes and makes me look like a fucking idiot, because she finds a vent leading up into the rest of the house.
That's where my suspension of disbelief was busted, because in a residential house, you're not going to have a ventilation vent big enough for a teenage girl to fit through. Maybe the kid. Maybe.
Yeah,
no, I think I have a pretty big intake.
It's not going to go anywhere, though. It's going to go to like something that splits off into smaller vents.
Yeah.
Ryan has gotten stuck in an intake.
I have 100% gotten stuck in one of those as a child. Yes.
I did not.
He's just
know
going
that,
through it like Charlie.
That was a cold shot.
Confidence. Yeah. This is
okay. It might have happened more than once.
Look, that can only come from somebody who's been stuck in an intake.
I knew for a fact that my house, I wouldn't fit like after the first time. Grandma's house, maybe.
Ryan sees that party, he's like, bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just picture Ryan like fucking Danny DeVito and It's Always Sunny crawling through the vents.
Basically. No. I'm Bruce Willis and Die Hard with the fucking Zippo lighter.
Neither. You're Ryan, love you to death. You're too gangly. You're the Junji Ito. This is my vent. So not only does Carly discover this vent, she also finds a box of matches and some real clever shit from this young lady. She, clearly aware of the gas idea, she goes and she tapes, she rips off the striker pad from the side of the box and she tapes it underneath the door. And then she tapes a series of matches with their heads resting against the striker pad to the bottom of the door itself. So if somebody were to open that door with enough force, it should ignite the matches. Pretty sneaky, sis.
It's diagonal.
What was that?
It's diagonal.
So then Carly and Josh crawl into the vent, and I think they cough a bit, and it causes Brent and Kendall to think now's the time. Now we can get into the basement and we can fuck up these kids. So Brent saws at the door, and Kendall is going through the kitchen picking out weapons with which to kill the kids. She discards a knife in favor of a meat tenderizer, which is a pretty solid looking meat tenderizer. So Carly and Josh are in the vent. Brent saws through the door. They get the door unlocked essentially, and Brent opens the door. This strikes the matches, which ignites the gas, and we get a slow-mo fireball coming at Nick Cage's face from side profile. It's a great shot. And then it speeds up and blows him directly through the wall behind him, which is also super fucking awesome. So Kendall wakes up under some broken bits of drywall and immediately grabs her meat tenderizer. And oh shit, Damon's not dead. He's starting to come to. Brent got hit bad by this fucking explosion. He is out. I thought he was dead. He is full on busted through a wall. He's laying in a bunch of broken drywall on fucking insulation, right? Kendall hears a noise upstairs as Carly drops down out of the vent and hits the floor upstairs, and she pursues. Carly makes it into a bedroom and manages to shut and lock the door, and Kendall starts trying to break it down. We get a flashback from Carly at this point, which is the first time she stole her mom's makeup and went to put it on. Kendall discovers her, and instead of having a freak out, she does her makeup for her. It's actually kind of a really touching scene. And then we cut back to the present where Kendall has made it through the door and the chase is back on. Sorry, Damon is now up and running, and he tries to restrain Kendall. Together, Carly and Damon managed to lock her in a closet. They actually have a bit of hysterical laughter here, which I also thought was pretty realistic, where they're laughing about their families. Like Carly's like, it's usually not this insane here. And I think Damon makes a crack about, I always thought my parents divorcing was the worst thing that happened to me, but it actually increased my odds of survival by 50%, which is a solid fucking line.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this moment of levity gives Kendall an opportunity to push through the doors, and she stabs Damon through the cheek with a wire coat hanger, which is pretty grisly.
It is pretty brutal. It actually grossed me out a little bit, and I love it when a movie grosses me out.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. And then she fucking, poor Damon, he's taking a lot of licks in this film. She smashes him with the tenderizer, and he falls over the banner and crashes to the floor. Poor kid survived his dad's murder attempt pretty free and clear with just a slash on his arm, and is just getting fucking demolished by
just absolutely brutalized
by his girlfriend's parents. I don't know if that's a message the movie was going for or not. I don't know what Brian Taylor's parent-in-laws are like, but I'm not sure he likes them very much.
Interracial relationships make me so mad.
Turns out Brent is not dead. He's just thoroughly singed at this point. And he grabs the Sawzall and does the "it saws through all."
Like numerous times.
He's got like Fruit Loops stuck to his face on the burn tissue too, which is a good callback to when Josh is taking the Fruit Loops to the dying kitten.
It took me a few seconds to realize, because I was looking at him like, what the fuck is on his face? Oh, Fruit Loops.
Yep.
It's the little details in this film that really do it for me. I'm not gonna lie. The care and detail they put into background characters that just don't play a part in the larger story, and little shit like the Fruit Loops. I don't know, man. It scratched an itch for me. I enjoyed it.
Agreed.
The parents are advancing on the kids who are cornered in the kitchen. Carly tries apologizing to Kendall for all the stuff she was complaining about that morning. And right as the parents get close to them, the doorbell rings. And Kendall and Brent pause and look at each other. And Kendall's like, I completely forgot your parents were supposed to be coming over tonight, which was a perfect line because I had completely forgotten that conversation at this point in the movie. I was like, oh shit. And realizing what is about to happen and that I had forgotten fucking all about it. It did not come into my mind once from the time they mentioned it until this point in the film. Very well done. So Brent goes to answer the door like a fucking idiot and immediately gets pepper sprayed by his mom, and his dad jabs him several times in the stomach with a knife, his old knife from Vietnam, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's a safe
Yep.
assumption.
It's a great scene. And Josh tries to get his granddad to stop killing Brent, but this puts Brent back on the hunt, and he takes after Josh and is immediately chased by his own dad trying to kill him. Kendall seems, well, I thought Kendall started to snap out of it because Carly was still in, line of sight at this point, and she's trying to talk to Brent's mother and convince her that she doesn't actually want to kill Brent. But Brent's mom Brent's mom calls her a whore and said she never loved Brent or deserved him, and that Kendall isn't even a real name, which is my favorite of the things she shouts. Josh flees to his dad's Firebird in the garage, and then we get a flashback. This is after the cat incident, and we learn that the Firebird originally belonged to Josh's granddad, Mel. And Brent tells Josh about how, you made a mistake, you messed up my car, but I did that when I was young too. But I did it worse. I stole the car once. This is the titty scene, and I wrecked it. But my dad sold me the car on the condition that I pay for fixing it up. He's like, and I did. I took summer jobs, paid him $10 here, $20 there, so on and so forth. And we learn, because Josh says, Brent mentions, your mom always wanted me to sell it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. And Josh says, oh yeah, mom used to say she couldn't bear to imagine what happened in this car. That must have been the accident, right? And Brent's like, nah, she was talking about something different. And then the scene ends with one of my favorite line deliveries from Cage in the entire film. He's like, if you ever touch that car again, I'll fucking kill you. To his younger than 9-year-old son at the time. Amazing parenting. And back to Josh hiding in the Firebird, and Brent is just wrecking it with a pickaxe trying to get at him. Josh flees, and Brent's father, Mel, corners Brent in the car, stabbing him several more times. In the kitchen, Kendall and Grandma are fighting. Kendall bashes Grandma with the meat tenderizer and then chases Carly out onto the lawn, and it lands a solid blow to her head. So Kendall has not snapped out of fucking anything. Before Kendall can deliver the killing blow to Carly, the grandma stops her. However, unfortunately for most people involved in this scene, the Firebird comes crashing out of the garage, pancaking Grandma, and then crashes into a parked car across the street, killing Grandpa. He's like hanging out of the roof.
Yeah.
And on the crash, he fucking flips forward and just turns to pudding on the hood of the Firebird.
Yeah.
Brutal. Kendall turns back to finish the job on Carly at this point, but Damon comes out of nowhere and hits her in the face with a shovel, which is just beautiful. So Kendall comes to, and she is tied to a pipe in the basement along with Brent. The kids and Damon are watching from a safe distance away, and the parents try and sweet talk their way into getting let loose by the kids, but the kids call them on their bullshit, and nobody moves to untie them. The kids tell their parents, like, we love you. And Kendall says, oh, sweetie, don't you know we love you more than anything? And then Brent says, yeah, but sometimes we just want to roll credits. And this movie was fucking fun.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It's a fun flick, man.
Just watching Lance Henriksen run around with a fucking boot knife chasing Nick Cage that's just eye candy for me, man.
But then again, like he stops to like reassure his grandson, like, you're full of piss and vinegar, kid.
Yeah, it was that's my little piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do also love, like, knife fights in movies are usually, like, in my opinion, over choreographed and stuff. I love that Mel, every time he gets close to Cage with this knife, he's just like, ugh! It's just rapid fire stabs into the closest piece of flesh he can find. It's amazing. It's like that scene. I don't know if it was like a Deadliest Warrior or something, but I know it's a meme online of this dude just stabbing at a like a gelatin covered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's that. It's that
The
many
like
rapid
ballistic
stabs.
jelly fucking mannequins. Yeah.
It's really well done. And the ending cut is kind of perfect. It's like, yeah, no, of course we love you. Just sometimes we want to fucking kill you. Again, is there a message here? Is it just fun?
I'm going fun.
I'm going fun. I don't think Brian Taylor or his usual he usually co-writes and co-directs with another guy, I think. But I don't think they're very good at making like message movies. I think they just like to see cool shit happen. And I do too.
Mark Neveline.
Okay. Yeah.
So I agree and disagree. I agree that they're like, we just want to do cool shit. But I do think they took the time to sit there and be like, is there something we can stitch together that gives sort of a vague outline of an actual shape?
The shadow of a message.
Yeah. And then in that shape, we just throw the coolest fucking shit you've ever seen. Just throw in a bunch of weird, crazy shit that is in line with the world that we've crafted here and just run with it. I'm inclined to believe that again, because of the weird attention to detail they gave stuff that was, character defining, but not in a way that is ham-fistedly foreshadowing some sort of salvation or turning point or something like that. It was just these are characters. This is their bit. Here's a glimpse of what they are and who they are and what they're about. And that's it. It's not going to save their lives or anything, but this is the bit. Damon's smart. Dan's the man. Brent is having a midlife crisis. Kendall loves her kids. Mel was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Riley's a crazy girl. The goth girl at the private school deals drugs. I mean, I don't know. This was an incredibly entertaining film. And I do find it funny that despite the fact that it really doesn't appear to have any easily discernible overarching message, it still is a more coherently put together story than some of the ones we've covered on this pod.
Definitely more than 2 and 11.
Yeah. And there's a coherence here that runs through. And maybe you don't come out the other end with this is what this movie was about. But be honest with your fucking self. You're Googling what did that movie mean every time you watch an art house flick anyway. So who gives a shit? Just pop this on, relax, and enjoy yourself. If you're squeamish about people getting fucking strangled to death with trash bags like Rich, minor trigger warning, maybe don't watch that part. But if that doesn't bother you,
implied violence against actual babies, maybe don't watch this one.
Yeah, but like it's fine because it really gets you to the stellarness of the last 45 minutes.
Yeah, the Tom and Jerry sequence.
Yeah. Also, I think it's funny that you mentioned implied violence against babies.
There's explicit violence against babies.
But not really. Like Kendall's sister tries to get to the baby, doesn't get to the baby.
Well, she's choking the baby out for a second. That could definitely be something that someone would be very sensitive of.
We see the train coming at the kid. It doesn't hit it. We see the lady shove that stroller in front of Kendall's car. But
that's what I would consider the implied violence. The explicit violence is the birth scene.
Yeah, but that baby does survive.
That is the one baby that survives. Maybe the baby's in the maternity ward too, but we don't know what happens to them.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, it made me think of it's the wrong movie. Not quite. It's actually 2 different movies that I was thinking of. One is Mother. Have you seen that? Real artsy flick.
It's trying.
I got so many
to be
problems
artsy
with that movie.
I'm not
It's
disagreeing.
Trying to be a biblical allegory, but it's not. It's failing at every fucking turn.
Yeah, it's a biblical allegory versus Earth, like the carrot. Yeah, but it's not that movie I was thinking of. There is a baby death in that film as well. What I'm thinking of was actually, I wouldn't call it a shitty horror movie, but it was like a not wide released horror movie. And there is a scene in it where it's like a postpartum scene and the woman drops the baby on the floor.
Oh,
And it is done with practical effects, obviously with like a doll, but it
yeah, yeah.
is done really well. And I remember when I saw that scene, I gasped, like sat up. It was a dream sequence. It was, brought on by like
Okay.
delirium and sleep deprivation. But when that scene hit the screen, I was like, it was
Yeah.
visceral. This
The
I didn't get that at any part in this film.
No, but like if you're not already sensitive to that type of thing, I could see
Agreed,
it not
agreed,
really triggering.
100%.
The movie that I think of in terms of violence against babies is always going to be Robert Eggers' The Witch, where the witch turns that baby into butter.
Yeah. Yep.
That is gnarly.
Yeah, when we do our ranking episode, maybe we do a ranking episode of violence against
Against
babies.
babies? Oh God. That might get us canceled.
It might be useful for people. We're like, look,
might.
if you hate baby violence, avoid S tier.
If you 100%. Hate babies, watch all of these.
It works for like there's two kinds of people in this world.
There are only two types of people.
But yeah, all that aside, I mean, yes, there is some relatively graphic violence in this movie, but it is more implied than explicitly like a gore fest. It's certainly not Terrifier or something like that.
Anything that is gore is more cartoony than anything in this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But no, it was just an entertaining watch. And you know what? I don't think that there's anything to apologize for when you just make an entertaining movie.
Yeah, yeah.
You
don't have to apologize, but like there are some people who maybe shouldn't watch it in general.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
Like I know my mom would fucking hate this movie.
Sure. But what I'm really, I'm not railing against people who wouldn't watch this just because they don't find the humor that was intended in certain elements of this, or they just don't find these concepts of violence funny in any respect. Those people take themselves seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging that. I just don't do that personally. Who I'm really attacking here are the cinephiles who'd be like, this isn't art, but it is art. It might be a finger painting, but it's still fucking art. I would put it on my fridge. Definitely enjoyable. One of the more entertaining films that we've watched on this sequence. It isn't going to hold a candle to, some of our top picks for sure, but it is. I will say this, from what we've seen of Nick Cage's filmography so far, he's got a lot of solid middle ground heavy hitters, right? They're the movies you have to go through if you want a shot at the belt. And I honestly, I think this fits in with some of those pretty well. Do I still think movies like Between Worlds are definitely gonna knock a film like this out? Sure, but Mom and Dad's gonna go a couple rounds.
Yeah,
I would put it right below like Between Worlds.
Yeah, we have a stacked, strong center here, and that's just good for balance. So
we got a strong mid card.
Yeah, 100% enjoyable film. I was very entertained. Watch it if you like this kind of thing. And if you've listened to this point, you'll definitely know if it wasn't your kind of thing. So now is one of my favorite parts of the episode, which is where Rich tells us what fresh man-made horrors beyond our comprehension are up next.
Well, it is man-made.
Is it horrors behind?
That's good to know. I'm glad to know we're not watching some kind of extraterrestrial film.
Or, well, I mean, it's not made by AI. That's coming soon.
Wait, yeah. We don't have any French films on our list, right?
We have an Italian one.
We do have an Italian one, Tempo di Uccidere.
Look, I think an AI film is like within 12 months away. It's going to be awful, and I'm going to see it 12 times. But this is not that. This is going to be probably the most opposite of movie to Mom and Dad I can think of. We're going to watch Astro Boy.
Oh, fuck yeah. Shit. I love Astro Boy. I haven't seen this movie, but I love Adam. He's a good little guy.
I know cool Ryan was excited for this, but I am also excited for this.
Yeah, I knew this one would come up eventually, so I've been reading through a bunch of Osamu Tezuka manga, the guy who created Astro Boy. I haven't read any Astro Boy, but I've been reading his other stuff, and that guy can go real dark.
Yeah, I'm curious where this movie's going. I actually don't know a lot about.
I mean, I'm doing a cold shot. It's probably going to have some extremely environmentalist theming. There might be some light communism stuff that pops up in it because Tezuka was a card-carrying member of the Japanese Communist Party for a long time.
Real comrade.
Real comrade, yeah.
There you go.
I think this is going to be interesting, possibly boring because it's an American adaptation of a Japanese property, but I'm excited.
And
I'm very curious to see how an American adaptation handles communism.
Yeah. It's probably going to be like the most milquetoast union fucking collectivism bullshit. But
how mad are you going to be if they explicitly try and go communism is bad?
I'm gonna be a little pissed. I might be miffed. I might even be PO'd.
Also, I'm gonna change things up from how we normally do things, where it's kind of just like a random roll of the dice. So we've been doing this now for a lot of fucking movies. I'm gonna check. So 96, 97, 98. This is gonna be episode 97 and 98.
Fucking really?
Yeah. This movie
is
episode 97
the
and
ranking
98
episodes.
It is, but
Okay.
we've watched a lot of movies, and we haven't hit Holy Trinity yet. So I'm making an executive decision. After this, we're gonna do. So we have Astro Boy. After that, we have 2 more movies. Then we're gonna watch Face Off.
Oh fuck yeah!
Oh shit!
Wait. We're not trying to hit Face Off for the episode 100.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we should hit it for episode 100. So this is going to be
Deus Ex Machining this in the first place.
If we're forcing this in, I think it's got to be on a big round number.
All right. So Astro Boy is going to be
97, 98, and then Face Off 99, 100.
Hang on. I got a 95, 96, 97, 90. Yeah. So you know what? We'll do Astro Boy, and then we'll just do Face Off.
Solid.
Ooh. Also, I'm calling our shot now. I don't see how we get out of Face Off without a 3-parter.
It's possible, yeah. There's going to be a lot to talk about.
That's fine. If we do a 3-parter, we can do like an extra little bonus that week where we'll figure out something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, how are we feeling? Like as people right now.
A retrospective.
Me, I'm hungry,
of
but
our
I also have to
journey
go to the
so
bathroom.
far?
No, I mean like when we talk about like this one random episode, it'll be like, how we doing? How we liking this Nick Cage shit?
I'm liking it a lot.
I'm fine with it. I'm learning more. I came into this pod thing. It was like I watched a lot of movies, and then doing a deep dive on Nick Cage was like I didn't watch movies like this. This is not how I consume them in the past. I'm learning a lot. I don't know if any of it's useful, but I am learning a lot.
There is stuff to be learned.
Yeah. All right. Let's call it. Let's wrap it. While you're waiting for our Astro Boy review, please feel free to give us a follow on social media. You can find us on Twitter at CageFight_pod.
You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/NickCageFight. $3 a month gets you every single episode without these pesky ad breaks.
Our $250,000 tier gets you a trip down to see the Titanic.
No submarine, though.
No, we're just going to throw you in.
Free dive.
We're going to chum the water with you.
Oh, that sounds not like a lot of fun.
No.
Nah.
But, all right. Excellent, enjoyable movie. We'll be back next time with Astro Boy. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, listeners, we appreciate you.
Bye-bye.